Hello, my friend. On today's episode, I'm speaking with Ben Pickard, and we're talking about lead follow-up. Specifically, we're talking about our kind of proven process and methods for having consistent lead follow-up that converts your leads consistently into long-term paying members. So if you have a crappy system for lead follow-up, or really no system at all, or if you have a decent system but it's not converting the way you want to, I think this is a great episode for you. So take some notes and let's dive in. Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business for Unicorns podcast. Before we dive in, I want to give you a quick reminder. We announced this already, but this is our heads up that we're doing another round of our world famous program called Gym Growth Blastoff. And it is a 12-week program where you can work with Mark Fisher directly to help generate more leads for your gym. It focuses on all the most essential sales systems from email marketing and social media marketing. It covers the whole gamut and helps you hold your hand through the 12-week process to generating more leads for your gym. As Mark said on one of our last podcasts, this is maybe one of the last times he's going to be intimately involved and holding your hand throughout all of the coaching for the 12 weeks. So if you really want to work with Mark and generate more leads, build more marketing systems in your business, go ahead and click the link down in our show notes. It'll take you over to our Instagram and just DM us. Let us know you're interested in Gym Growth Blastoff. We'll send you all the details and let you know how it works. But I really hope you join us because everyone who's done the program so far, this is our third time. It's had tremendous results. And so don't miss out. It's a great program. Can't wait to see you there. Brings me to today's episode, which is with Mr. Ben Pickard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Good. We're recording this in the holiday season. Are you in the festive spirit yet?
Yeah, I'm. As you probably wouldn't surprise you, I don't dislike Christmas. I like Christmas, but I'm not like, you know where this is going already. I wouldn't be the one to decorate the shit out of our house, and my wife has done a fantastic job. We have 3 Christmas trees.
Wow.
Granted, one is big, like a real Christmas tree, and then we've got a little Christmas tree in our room. We've got, I don't even call them, like big old Christmas balls hanging from the ceiling. So it's it's hard not to be in the Christmas spirit when my house is Christmassy as hell. And I'm not the Grinch, even though my wife says so. Maybe I'm the Grinch. But I'm glad she feels that part of me that I wouldn't normally do because I love it, but I also wouldn't take the initiative to put up, God, we have a lot of LED lights on.
Wow.
You call it you call it a feather boa around your neck. What do you call it?
Oh, yeah.
What's that when it's made out of like Christmas tree material?
Oh, garland?
Garland. We got garlands and lights fucking everywhere.
How funny. Yeah, I love that. Listen, as long as you go along with it, you're not the Grinch. But if you're like complaining the whole time, then you're the Grinch. So you get to choose.
I expressed curiosity around why 3 Christmas trees is necessary.
Yeah.
That's as far as I went.
Listen, I'm with your wife. I would love to decorate more and more and more. And then what happened is for me is that I live in this house mostly in the woods, about 90 minutes north of New York. I think most people know that. And in the woods here, no one drives past my house. So for the first 2 years of owning this house, I bought all this outdoor stuff. I bought like laser lights and inflatable shit to put on your lawn. And I spent all this time the first year or so putting it out there. But then I realized, oh wait, no one even sees this. I don't like to have that many neighbors. Like I'm in a place where people's lots are very big. And so we just, no one sees it. And so the last few years I have not put it out, but I have all this stuff. I really want to be Clark Griswold from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I really want to have the brightest house on the block, but it feels so silly when no one sees it but me. Maybe one day.
The inside of your house is beautifully done. Your Christmas tree.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. We usually have 2 trees inside and, we do some decorating inside, but still, I really am interested in the outside spectacle of it all, but I've been reining myself in the last few years. Maybe at some point I'll do it to the point where people will come from far and wide and make a special trip to my house.
The music is synced.
Yeah. I really want to be
Dolly
that.
Parton singing some Christmas song. I don't know Dolly as well as you do that sync to your lights. That'd be awesome.
Don't worry, Dolly has many Christmas songs. So yeah, I think you're speaking my language. Yeah. All right. Well, future goals. Well, let's dive into today's episode. Today, what we wanted to talk about is lead follow-up, right? Lead follow-up. And I know this is maybe not the sexiest topic after we just got you all excited talking about Christmas trees and Dolly Parton, but we're talking about this because it is so important. I'll kick this off, Ben, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts about why this matters so much. But we talk to gym and fitness studio owners every day, and many of them actually have pretty decent lead flow, meaning they get people out in the world raising their hands, expressing interest on a pretty decent rate on a regular basis. And then what happens a lot of the time, frankly, a sad amount of the time, is that they just don't follow up. Right? You get people emailing or reaching out on social media or showing up, walking into your gym or, clicking through to your website, and you just don't follow up or follow up fast enough or consistently enough to actually, turn them into a paying customer. And so we want to talk today just at a very high level. This is a big topic. We could talk about, sales funnels and for many, many hours, but we want to talk specifically about some of the basics about following up with leads. Like, how do you create the systems to make sure that you don't leave those people hanging when they've raised their hand and said, hey, I might be interested. Yeah. So I think that's my hot take on like why this matters so much. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I +1 agree completely. And in my experience, the same is true. I would even go so far as to argue that if you think you need more leads and you don't give yourself a 10 out of 10 on your lead follow-up process, start there. There's no point pumping leads through a sieve, because if they came to you and your lead follow-up process sucks and they went to another gym, you might get them eventually, but like probably not tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think at least 50% of people who say they need more leads actually would benefit from dialing in the process for this one to convert more. I don't know what the percentage would be, depends where they come from, but convert those people into clients.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. I couldn't agree more. We're aggressively agreeing with each other at this point in the podcast. yeah. I love it. Well, maybe let's start by defining some terms. There's a lot of like terms that get tossed around on the subject, and specifically even just the word lead. So when we talk about it, we like to break it down a little bit more. We talk about the fact that there are strangers, there are suspects, and there are prospects. And for us, prospect and lead are synonymous. So can you just maybe break those down a little bit so that all of our listeners and we're speaking the same language?
Yes, we're not speaking fancy internet marketing funnel language. Yeah. So a stranger is someone who knows your gym exists. That's simple. They know of your existence and that's it. They haven't done anything about it. You haven't done anything about it. They're the same way there's a store that sells that thing in your town and you haven't gone there before. You're a stranger with them. The suspect is someone who knows you exist and is kind of like lingering at a distance is the way we think about it, but they haven't really expressed interest yet. So they could be on your email list. They could be on your social media. Maybe they came to like an event you had at their gym with a friend, but like you're in each other's circles, but they haven't actually said, hey, can you tell me more about this thing?
Yep.
And then last but not least, prospect and lead are the same thing. It's someone who has like raised their hand and taken action to express interest in we're doing the thing. So they've opted in to an offer. They've emailed you. Stop by, probably bring a friend, something like that. They've engaged in a way that is like, yeah, they're probably interested in your gym. You just got to make sure it's a fit.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. I think that I think a lot of people toss all those words around interchangeably. And again, we like to make a difference, make a difference between like a suspect and a prospect. And so that's super helpful. We like to break down lead follow-up into kind of like 3 main steps. So kind of walk us through this. What's the most important kind of first thing to tackle?
Well, the first is that you need to have a script.
Yeah.
There needs to be what happens if then that process. Like we talked about systems before, it doesn't have to be complicated. Of when a lead comes through, what do you do? And the first step of that is make sure you get in touch with them, ideally in 5 minutes or less. Now, that may not be possible if they're coming through at 2 a.m., which is where automation comes in, and friendly plug for Kilo. Using a software like Kilo to get them an immediate text message can be huge. But you need to know, what do we do when somebody raises their hand? And then what happens? And the first step, being automated, just saves you a lot of time and makes sure that they've got a much faster response rate. And the research is like an overwhelming amount of research shows the faster you can get in touch with them, the better things will go.
Yeah. I think that matters so much for our industry. And I think you all you listeners, this. Your leads, people who reach out to you and express interest, they're often doing it from in a moment of like courage, a moment of vulnerability, bravery, right? These are people who often who are reaching out to a gym for the first time in a long time saying, I might be ready. I think I might be ready to ask for help. I might be ready to try something new. I might be ready to step outside my comfort zone. And so when they're opting into your website form or they're DMing you on social media, that's a moment that you need to seize that moment, because for many of them, the moment doesn't last. That moment of motivation or inspiration or bravery or vulnerability, it might be fleeting, right? And so if you don't reach out very quickly, you get them like a few hours later or, a day or two later, that moment has completely passed. They're distracted by their job or their kids, or maybe they talked to the first gym who did respond because they reached out to 3, and you're last on the list, my friend. And so we have to make our choice the convenient choice. We have to make saying yes to us the thing that is fast and easy to do for them, which means it is all about speed. So I wanted to double, triple down on that, Ben, because we all agree, and the research shows it is essential. Yeah.
Yeah, because to that person, you make a really good point. Like, put yourselves in their shoes. It's like they decided to jump out of the plane. There's a really small window that if they don't jump out of the plane and you don't respond, that they're staying in the plane and not going skydiving.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's a skydiving example.
No, I think I would take that analogy even further. Them calling you is them jumping out of the plane. It's whether or not you give them a parachute, right? Yeah.
Don't let your leads splat into the ground. Don't let your
leads fall thousands of feet to their death. Yeah. Catch them, right? It's catch them. It's like we say on social media marketing all the time. You can't let, a comment or a like or some interaction go unnoticed. You have to reach back out and say, thank you, and actually, meet their high five with another hand.
Exactly. And you know how awesome your gym is. To them, hopefully your marketing shows that you're different in some way and that nudged them to reach out, but they don't know the difference between you and the big box gym next door, especially if you're Gen Pop, or they don't know between you and the other athlete training center down the road. So the only advantage you have in the early stage until you get an opportunity to show value is speed. Mm-hmm. Like, that is the game until you get a chance to talk to them, and then you can determine, hopefully sell them on it being a right fit, provided it is.
Yep.
Once you talk to them. But at the beginning, the only differentiator is that you responded to them faster than the other person.
Okay, great. All right. Well, so that's step 1, which is have a process and a script, right? And that script should include when you reach out, how you reach out, and what you say. And the most important part so far about that script is that you have a process in place to do it quickly. Yeah. Before we move on to step 2, just maybe we touch on this very briefly, because I know I want to keep going the rest of the steps. The biggest barrier I hear from people is like, how do I reach out quickly when I'm on the floor all the time? How do I reach out quickly when all of us are just, actually in the gym servicing clients all the time? What do you say to that, Ben?
One, you're going to need to just get off the gym floor a little bit more.
Yep.
I mean, if you're at the point where you really need your gym to grow, you need to be putting more of your time into activities that are going to make your gym grow. I know that's easier said than done, so I say that a little bit tongue in cheek.
Yes.
And the second one is really like, you're going to need some software in that case to do it. Because even if they get an immediate response, that ideally ask them some sort of probing question, and then they respond and they have to wait even an hour later until you're done your session, at least now you've started a conversation with them.
Yes.
So I think your options are be really available and do what needs to happen, or get some automations in place to help.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, let's move on. What's the next step?
So step 2 is you need to keep track of this stuff. Hopefully you're getting enough leads that you can't just keep it all in your head.
Well, spoiler, even if you're getting a few, you can't keep it all in your head. you can't.
As I say that, the number you can keep in your head is like 2.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So make if you need to, a simple spreadsheet that's just like, who are they? What's their email? What's their phone number? And when do you need to reach out? The columns can be like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, all the way out to like day 14, possibly day 28. And every day your job is to just go into this tracker and be like, all right, last time I messaged them was December 9th. It's December 10th. I've got to send them another follow-up. You need to make sure that you're being consistent with that follow-up, because otherwise it's going to be like we said, you're not going to be able to keep it in your head. You're going to miss it. And there is a consistency. Obviously, the sooner you can get in touch, the more likely they'll be in within a couple of days. But some people, I've had it at my gym where people send a message and then we're like, yeah, why don't we hop on the phone? They're like, oh, I'm actually about to get on a plane for vacation tomorrow. Can you follow up with me on date? If I forget to follow up with that person, they went to another gym.
They're gone. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think for many of you just starting out, if you're only getting a small handful of leads every single week, or even a moderate amount of leads every single week, you probably can manage all of your lead follow-up with a simple spreadsheet. simple Google sheet, a simple Excel document. You probably don't need much else. For those of you that are getting, more than a lead a day, or a lead a day or more, I should say, you might start benefiting from some software, right? Something like Kilo, which I know we talk about all the time, right? Some automations for how the follow-up happens. I think, you might need some software if you're getting more than just, a handful of leads per week. And that software will do a lot of the heavy lifting in keeping you organized. But for most of you who, are getting only, 3 to 5 leads a week, you probably are fine with just using a spreadsheet for a while until you want to or can afford to upgrade to something that includes some automations. Yeah. Let's keep going. I think the third step really is all about how you spend time on this. And we've covered that a little bit already, but say more, Ben, about step 3.
Yeah. So we strongly recommend that you have dedicated time on your calendar that is as important to you as no showing for a session. The magnitude of guilt of no showing to a session needs to be the magnitude of guilt of no showing to the meeting you made with yourself to do lead nurture work.
Yeah.
Block off an hour a day where you're going to make sure you follow up with those leads, where you're going to be booking discovery calls if that's part of your process, booking consultations. But this is really a time management thing disguised as lead follow-up. You need to be really consistent with this. Having the best process and the best tracking, but you do it 2 days a week is just not really going to get results. Yep. And as you shift from coach to business grower, whatever you want to call that in your business, this is just a mandatory part that needs to happen. Me and my GM have talked about it a lot, that she has an hour a day dedicated to just honestly hitting the phones. We're not suggesting you cold call people, but it's making sure everybody gets answered to. Now, ideally, you'd be doing this multiple times a day, but not everyone's schedule can handle that. But this guarantees that nobody's going more than a day without a response. Mm-hmm. There's also you might be able to explain this better, but there's also a degree of integrity and intentionality that comes with, this is a thing I'm committed to doing. Here's the behavior I'm going to do to make it happen. And then you feel accomplished that you did the thing. So you're not going to win every hour, but over time that compounds.
Yeah, 100%. I think you said it beautifully, right? It's a matter of integrity, right? To say, hey, I'm going to, catch all these people who just jumped out of a plane, right? If they said they're interested and they want some of what we got, it is my obligation and my duty to meet them at where they're at and give them all the information they need to make us the easy choice, right? The best choice and the easy choice. And I think you're right that, you need dedicated time on your calendar that is prioritized above sometimes a lot of other stuff. This is one of the most important things that someone in your gym spends time on, right? And it doesn't have to be a whole 1 hour block a day, right? As Ben said, ideally it's spread out. It might be 3 10-minute blocks throughout your day. Hell, start with 2 5-minute blocks. It's better than nothing, right? And you'll be surprised that in a 5 or 10-minute chunk, how many calls, emails, texts you can make. But if you really focus and you have a script and a template where you can just copy and paste stuff, you can send a lot of texts, a lot of emails, a lot of voice memos in just 5 or 10 minutes. And for those of you, again, that are only getting a handful of leads per week, you might not need more than that. You might not need more than 2 or 3 10-minute chunks in your day to be one of the most responsive gyms on the planet. Right. Automation helps, right, as well. Right. But if for actual human contact, I think, if you had 3 10-minute blocks in your calendar and no one's waiting more than 3 or 4 hours to hear from you during a business day, that you might make you one of the most responsive people in your market. And I think that, timing really matters here. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground here. If you were to kind of, to all the people out there who are like, yes, I need to improve my lead generation systems. I know I need a script. I know I need a tracker to track everything. I know I need time on my schedule to do this. That all feels maybe a little overwhelming to them. Where do they start, Ben?
Well, I think you could create a script much faster than you think you could. Yeah. There's no magic bullet with this. Yeah. You talk to leads. I'm assuming you've talked to at least one lead already if you own a gym.
Yeah.
Write down just what you said so that you can copy and paste stuff into text messages. In terms of the tracker, if you don't know where to start, the most basic spreadsheet ever is totally fine. But maybe, as I'm saying this out loud, the place to start is actually blocking off that time in your calendar. If you have 30 minutes a day, ideally an hour a day, however you split it up, in your first 2 days, day 1 is I'm going to write a script, day 2 is I'm going to make my tracker. Great. You're hitting the ground running 3 days in.
Yep.
Because it's not one of those we get questions like, "What's the right thing to say?" And it's like, well, you're already saying things right if your gym is if you own a gym and are listening to this podcast. So like, the right thing to say is the thing that aligns with the values and culture of your gym.
Yeah.
So, and you've already got it. You just need to put it down so you can copy and paste it into text message and emails real fast and don't type all that shit out again.
I think that's it. I think this is a classic example of a lot of people just make kind of perfect the enemy of good. And you want to just get it rolling with something that's good enough, right? The next draft of whatever whatever your script is, whatever your tracker is, the next draft is the best draft for now, right? As long as it's good enough that it allows you to get started, you will be able to improve this over time. Your script will absolutely improve over time. Your tracker will actually get better over time. At some point, maybe it'll move into software. Just get it friggin' started, and you will learn as you go.
The best parts of my script when I was doing lead calls in my gym, the best part of my scripts were actually things that I said off the cuff. And then the prospective client is like, oh, that sounds amazing. And in my head, I'm like, all right, I got to write that down. But it just came to me. There was a bit of trial and error in that. And I'm like, all right, that gets added into the script because that resonated with our avatar.
Love it. Awesome. Well, this was super helpful. I hope your listeners, this was a helpful walk down some of our best practices for lead follow-up. Hopefully that helps you get started or start to improve the systems that you already have. And as a reminder, if you want more help with marketing and sales, we have a Gym Growth Blastoff program starting soon. And space is limited. Last time you're going to really get to work hands-on with Mark Fisher. And so go over our Instagram, DM us, Gym Growth Blastoff, or just the word Blastoff, and we'll send you all the information and help you get started. Thanks as always for a great conversation, Mr. Pickard, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Kaler.